So last week we were discussing on the proof of the existence of God. Can we remember? So let me share 3 or 4 more on that meditation quickly. How to know, how to prove, and how to defend the fact that God exists. Quickly. But before we continue, can somebody tell us what one of the proofs we shared last week? Apart from Florence. You want to help us?
Okay. So let me start from just say one.
Okay.
Out of the things you said about.
I know Ken is checking her notes so that she oh yeah.
The reason why some people will depend on saying God does not exist. Number one is out of their pains.
Yeah.
They've passed through experiences. Especially when they desire God to do something in their own time. Like this is what I want. Or like you're giving God an instruction. God, if you cannot do this now, you don't exist. God, if you can do this, I will serve you in the whole of life. I will serve you if you can. I think I've done things like that though. I say, God, just do this thing. Especially when my mommy wants to beat me. I've done something wrong. God, if you can tell my mommy not to beat me,
I will now be obedient. I will not do it again.
But then my mommy will give me food and she'll come and meet me in the midnight. That was our last night talk. And I'm like, Jesus, God, where are you? And then we are still here. We are still pushing. So one of the reasons why most people always say God does not exist is because they want God to be things at their own pace. And God is not doing it then like this is not the season, this is not the time. They'll begin to say God does not exist. But looking at things around us, knows everything. He's speaking and telling us that God is existing. The fact that man can sit down and create something and build something, at least man built house, man did different products, shows that there is someone that is the ultimate creator that man is actually learning from. Regardless of the race, regardless of your belief system, yes, you can still look up to God and create something. I believe the man that sat down and designed an aeroplane was by looking at some things that God created, like this thing, dragonfly. Yeah. That thing looks like an aeroplane. So you can actually look at it and say, okay, this thing looks like this and it's flying. The breeze is not blowing it, it's moving. So let me build something like this. Like the train, you can also see things like shark. And the shark will swallow human. Whale, all of those things, they are very big. So a whale can actually swallow a human. Now, okay, there's something like this, there's snake. Let me build the train that will be like this, will be moving in this kind of thing. So all of this improve that God is existing and living.
Wow, glory to God. Thank you for that. Kevin, do you want to share with us? Okay. Florence, do you want to share something with us? Okay. So, we spoke about nature, intelligence, and many other things to prove the fact that God exists. So there's a man called Thomas Aquinas. Thomas Aquinas, Aquinas. And Thomas Aquinas was a philosopher and a theologian in the medieval era. So Thomas Aquinas began to try to answer this question, because that question, does God exist? We are not the first set of people that want to answer it. Since the days of Adam, people have been asking that question. And even when we are out of this world, people will still be asking. So that is why God is saying we should answer the questions of our generation. There is nothing new in this world. It's just development, innovations. This world has some basic principles and ideals that runs it. Glory to God.
Yeah.
The main topic of religion is God. And last week we were discussing that other names for God: infinite wisdom, the force of nature, the divine, the creator, the all-seeing eye, all these names that people give. It's still God they are talking about. So How do we prove the existence of God? Another way we can prove the existence of God is by revelation. A man called Saint Anselm wrote that God is the greatest personality that the human mind can ever think about. What he meant by that statement is that the mind that thinks about God cannot think about anything else greater than God. The highest realm of thought is thinking about God. And that's a big thing, because even God says, as far as the heavens is higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways. So are my thoughts higher than your thoughts. Whatever things that are beautiful, virtuous, pure, it says, think on these things. So when we come together like this, Sunday in, Sunday out, Wednesday in, Wednesday out, and we meditate on God, we think about God, we are only touching base with our reality. If we are not thinking about God, if we are not talking about God, who else is more important or more important to talk about, to think about, to meditate on? Who else? Augustine and Thomas Aquinas taught a principle that just as light reveals the object in a room, man cannot know God if God has not made it possible for man to know him. It's just like what A.W. Tozer said too, that in his book, The Pursuit of God, A.W. Tozer said the desire to look, the desire to pursue God, to seek for God, to search for God, is not you that invented that desire. It is actually God that put that desire in you for you to seek for him. Everything originates and begins in God. Are we still together?
Yes, sir.
These are deep things. I'm just trying to simplify it. The fool has said in his heart there is no God, because that heart cannot even think about God. So Thomas Aquinas gave us 5 reasoning, 5 things to think about to prove that God exists. The first reasoning is the reason of change, motion, or movement. Aquinas said that the movement of an object is caused by another moving object. Nothing can be reduced from potentiality to actuality except something in a state of actuality. So Thomas Aquinas said God is the first mover. So let me simplify that to us. Look at this mobile phone now. Are we together? Look at this mobile phone. If when it came this morning, this mobile phone was here, and then maybe you went outside to get something, and then when you came back inside, this mobile phone was here, you begin to ask yourself, did this mobile phone move by itself, or did somebody move it? So what will your answer be? Somebody moved it, right? Okay. Are we together? What if, God forbid, an earthquake happened, and because of the earthquake, this mobile phone dropped to the ground? So the mobile phone did not drop to the ground by itself, but because of the earthquake. So if you begin to trace it, so why did the earthquake happen? Okay, because of the plates, the fault lines in the air. Okay, so how did the fault lines get there? You will trace it back until you get to God. So Thomas Aquinas meant that nothing moves except that there is an immovable mover. So nothing can move by itself. Maybe you are here because I told you that you help us bring our guitar. But sometimes when I don't tell you, you just have that leading that let me be in church today, right? So you moved because you were moved. Glory to God. So God is the first mover. In the beginning, God created. So the first line of action, the first verb, the first action word, the first man, I use man for the lack of word, the first personality that moved and then things began to happen is who? So if God did not decide to start creating, we won't be here this morning. Now, the second is like it also. Cause and effect. God makes things change or God moves things. God is the origin of cause and effect. God cannot change. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
But He can cause changes. So many changes in the world, day and night. If you put fire inside, if you put paper inside fire, it is going to burn, Abi. So many things that a baby, okay, when is Samuel's birthday? September, right?
Yes, sir.
Was it still the same baby that it was about close to a year ago? So he's growing, he's changing. But God cannot grow. God cannot say, I want to be better. Are we together? But God can cause things to grow. God can cause changes. He can cause causes and effects. So God is the uncaused thing that causes other things, that influences other things. So God is the first cause. That's the second proof that God exists. Because if you trace it back, you realize that it is God that is influencing everything. The third point is that nothing can come from nothing. Something must exist at all time. Do you know what that means? Scientists tell us that there are 8 billion people in this world. Maybe 9 billion now. Now the question is, if nobody had died since Adam, how many people will be in this world?
The one will not break.
So people have been given birth to, people have died, war, calamities, sicknesses and all. But God is aware of everything. If you ask God how many people have lived, He can tell you the number. So there must be a God that has that figure. Because 100 years ago you were not here. And 100 years after you will still be here. And somebody is aware of it. That is the need for a necessary being to be in charge of things. I was watching something some days ago. The man said 100 years from now, nobody here will be here. Either we are dead or maybe rapture happened. And if Jesus tarries 100 years from now, the 4 of us here won't be here. We will have died. Or about to die. Glory to, and it's not a curse. I'm not speaking negative. It's just what it is. So there must be a personality that is existing. That even when we will go, He will still be there. And that is God. The fourth reasoning is the reason of perfection and goodness. The explanation to this is that in a world of complexities, blood and diverse standards in health, morality, power, strength, wisdom, success, there has to be a standard. There has to be a reference. There has to be a standard for perfection. There has to be a reference for what is good and what is bad, like a law system, a moral system, an umpire. I was sharing last week that why do we have prisons? Why do we have lawyers? If everybody is good, we don't need lawyers now. What gives man a sense of good or bad? A sense of morality, a sense of this thing I did is not good. And it has to be God, because what you think is good might not be what Florence will think is good. So somebody has to be the standard by which we measure actions. And I cannot be your standard because we are both mortal. There has to be a superior that will determine that. And if you think a lawyer is superior, who gave the lawyer the power? If you think the president is superior to the lawyer, who gave the president the power? The last time I checked, God is the one that put leaders in position. So that sense of morality is God. And number 5, the reason of design and purpose. Here, Aquinas provokes us to think of the purpose for which things are created or made. This light bulb was created to do what? To shine, right? We see things that lack intelligence, such as natural bodies, act for an end, and this evident from their acting always or nearly always in the same way, so as to obtain the best results. All things have an order or arrangement that leads them to a particular goal. Nothing is by chance. Are we together? Just in case you see a tree in the front of your house or at the back of your house, that tree has a purpose. That tree is not by chance but by design. There's something called the butterfly effect. Do you know what the butterfly effect is? The butterfly effect says that, you know a butterfly now?
Yes, sir.
If a butterfly is flying like this, in Nigeria, and maybe you mistakenly swiped it and the butterfly began to go down, that action you took, it might be the reason why there will be an earthquake in Russia. It's a theory. It's just to prove that things don't happen by chance. I was sharing last week that if the planet Earth shifts 1 centimeter from where it is in the sky, in the universe, this planet can just vaporize or go just dematerialize like that. So, who determines that green plants will be green, that has chlorophyll? The purpose, the reason why it is green, it is God that made it so for a purpose. The reason why the water is transparent and water should not be polluted, because in its pure form it can be useful, is God. So the proof of existence of God says everything we see has a purpose, and there must be somebody that has made it in such a way that it will be useful. Because nothing just happens by chance. There should be a purpose behind everything. So the personality that gives purpose to everything and usefulness to everything is God. So I'm just trying to give us a recap of some of the things we taught last week. Glory to God. All right. There are many reasons why There are many other factors to prove that God exists, and the best one is one that is a conviction in your spirit, the one that you personally, let's say like a personal experience or a personal encounter. Somebody that is dying and about to die and saw God, or maybe Jesus Christ, he lay hands on him and that kind of person, that's a personal what experience that can never leave that person. So some people will look at the sunset and say, ah, wow, only God can make this thing. Some people, God will heal them from sick bed and say, some people, God will deliver them from plane crash, and only God. So God himself is more eager to reveal himself to humanity than we were asking about his existence. Glory to God.